What would it feel like to be truly, deeply happy, regardless of your circumstances? Did you know that happiness is a choice and not a result? That you can create your life on purpose? Join us now to learn more. This is the Time to Rise and Thrive radio show. And here's your host, mindset coach, and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott.
Hello and welcome. Welcome to Time to Rise and Thrive. I'm your host, Jackie Mott. We are on Inspired Choices Network. It is Friday. It is Friday, my friends. It is Friday. Like, how does it get better than this? We're going into this weekend. I've had an amazing week and I got some really great stuff to share with you today. So how does it get better than that? I'm so excited. I'm so excited about so many things. So today we are talking about creating your life on purpose. Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever realized that you have all kinds of power in your life that you might not even realize is available to you? So, we're going to talk about that on today's show. I'm so excited about this. So, on Time to Rise and Thrive, we talk about our subliminal soundtrack and how we can make it work for us rather than against us. We talk about recognizing our unique beauty and amazingness and value and contribution that we are to the world in general and to the people that are important to us. So, how does it get better than that? We talk about all of these wonderful things. It is so, man, with some of the stuff that's been going on in my world the last while, like probably a couple of months, it has become so very clear to me that perspective is so important, so important. And I know that. And yet there, these circumstances show up that help us to expand that and practice that. And tough stuff, but man, even the tough stuff, right? Even the tough stuff, you can actually take that into your world and go, okay, what am I going to learn from this? What am I going to gain from this? What is great about this that I'm not seeing right now? Oh man, we're going to get into all of that stuff. Yeah, just in a few minutes. So we'll get into the intro of the show first because that's what I'm supposed to do, right? So this show today is very close to my heart. Creating your life on purpose is very close to my heart because what I'm going to talk to you about is some of the content. The very first program that I created in my business in Phoenix Coaching was called Creating Your Life on Purpose. And I'm going to tell you how that evolved and how that became and all of that kind of stuff. But the thing of it is when we create our life, when we take responsibility, when we create our life on purpose, we are choosing rather than living at the mercy of our life circumstances and our decisions that we made in the past. Yeah. Yeah. So when we get really purposeful about our thought processes and about what we're choosing to create in our life, so many things can change. Like literally your entire life can change when you start to make these changes. So here's what I wrote last week about the show. In this program, this Creating Your Life on Purpose program, I worked with small groups of women to help them understand what was holding them back, break through the limitations, so important, and then begin to make different choices. It was the most beautiful thing I think that I have ever been part of, with the possible exception of, the birthing process. It was a lot cleaner than the birthing process, but it was so beautiful to watch these ladies come into my space and just evolve, just transform their lives in amazing ways in such a short period of time. It was an 8-week program, and literally there were people that they walked in not knowing me, from like they'd never met me, they'd never even heard of me, but they showed up, and by the time we were done they walked out completely different people. And it was so amazing to be part of, I mean, I can't take credit for it. I was just the facilitator. I was just the person who did the putting together and the talking and the teaching part of that. They were the ones who did the work. And I had become so close with some of these ladies because it was amazing and wonderful to watch them shift and transform into something so much lighter and more joyful and more purposeful. And the just the light that started to shine from them, oh my god, it was just amazing. So that is sort of the basis of our show today. So we talk about that subliminal soundtrack thing all the time. Really, really quickly, what our subliminal soundtrack is, it's that sort of, recording that plays in the back of our head when we're not even paying attention. And it's based on every experience, every conversation, everything that we've learned, everything that we've bought into, like it's based on all of that stuff. And it just kind of plays without us thinking about it, unless we take action and actually work on changing those things and creating a better soundtrack that will support us in a different way. Okay. So it's not that hard to understand. It actually makes an awful lot of sense if you think about it. So here's how that relates to this whole idea of creating your life on purpose. If you believe that you have to live a certain way because of the decisions that you've made, because of the choices you've made, then you really are going to limit yourself. You're going to limit yourself from whatever else might be available to you that you're just not even aware of yet, because you're still functioning from that place where you've made decisions based on the information that you already have. Okay. So when we're operating from that space, we are going to actually create a life that supports those limiting beliefs. So, for example, really clear example, when I was 16, I became pregnant. I became a mom when I was 17. And for a very long time, I had decided that that meant this and this and this, and therefore my life was going to look like this. Do you understand? So my life was now going to look like this. All other possibilities were gone because I was now a single teenage mother. All right. And I assigned my own value, my worthiness, what I felt to believe true about me and what I was capable of and what I could have was now limited by that story, that one single story. I was a single teen mom, and therefore only that life was available to me. Okay. So I had decided that, and I therefore lived that. I created that. I brought in, the people and the circumstances. I created the relationships. All of it was based on that idea. The limitations with money, the lack that I felt I deserved because I'd screwed my life up so badly. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that's story number one. But if we believe that there are limitless possibilities out there, limitless possibilities, and hear that, limitless possibilities are available to us. If you believe that you're worthy and you're willing to do what it takes, you're willing to do the work, and you are allowed to make new choices and new decisions as your life changes. Oh, is that possible? Yes. Yes, it is. If we believe those things, then we have decided to be completely different from that first story, haven't we? Because we've decided that we are going to be open to whatever possibilities present themselves in our lives. We're going to be open to new people showing up that maybe wouldn't have been able to show up if we were thinking the other way. New learning, new like job prospects, money. Money limitations are what we make. I know. I know that really sucks, right? It really sucks that we're the ones that are creating our own lack, but it's true. So if you can sit with that for a moment, sit with that for a moment, not from a place of judgment, just from a place of truth and acknowledgement, because that's where it starts. Truth and acknowledgement that these are the circumstances that I have created in my own life because of the limiting beliefs that I have carried. Now, all you have to do is challenge it and shift it around, and then you can get to the other place where now limitless possibilities. I could have as much as I want. I could have I could have whatever I choose. I could be surrounded by people who actually love and appreciate me and support me and dream big dreams for me and want me to just be whatever I want to be. I could surround myself with those people. Wow, might that shift some stuff? If you're used to being around the people who are also stuck in that whole idea of, oh my God, I've only got this much money and I've got to pay my rent and I've got to pay this and there's nothing left, right? I can't save for a trip. I can't save for a trip. How would I save for a trip? Every penny is going toward or, okay, this is where I am right now. What do I need to do to open up that possibility? Where am I able to change my thinking, shift my circumstances to create the possibility that I could go on a trip? Hmm. I know. I know. It seems so very complicated, especially when we are stuck in those circumstances and those belief system. It seems so very, very complicated. And it's almost as though you feel trapped, isn't it? But when you start to, yeah, man, guys, this makes me so excited. When you start to perceive that there are limitless possibilities available to you, and you're the person who's responsible for this stuff, you can change all of that. And in a very short period of time, you can create a whole different life. Honest to God, I can tell you so many examples, and I'm going to share a few of them as we go through the show. But I can clearly tell you so many examples of where I bought into these stories. I bought into the things that were told to me about people that I know. I know one person. He's absolutely brilliant. All through school, he was told that he was stupid. So smart. Completed his high school inside a year. When he actually was able to shift that and get past that belief system, whatever it took for him to do that, when he was able to shift that, he found himself a place, a teacher. It was just like magic. This person shows up, this opportunity shows up. This is how we're going to work it to make this happen. He literally created a situation where his entire high school diploma was earned in a year of school. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? That's what happened. So this is what I'm saying. When we have these, the idea that high school has to be done grade 9 to grade 12 or grade 13 or grade 10, whatever, like whatever it is in your area, wherever you live. When we have the idea that it's necessary for me to go to this building and sit through these classes with these teachers in this order. Do you see what I'm saying? We have this construct, we have this idea, we have this limitation. This is the only way to do this thing, right? But if you're motivated enough, you start to look for those other possibilities. You start to look for something else, and bam, there it is. And before you know it, you've graduated in a year. That one really gets me. That one really gets me. So this is the thing that we have to really sort of start to shift and buy into, is that we are capable of so many things that we probably don't yet realize that. We probably don't know. And this is where our minds can be a really tricky area, because our minds are very limited. Our minds are very limited because our minds are, um, they're able to process only the things that they know. So, what you've learned from this experience, from this teacher, from this relationship, from what does it mean? What does it mean to be an adult? What does it mean to be, you know, a teacher or a banker or an accountant? Or what does it mean? We already have that stuff defined in our minds. And so it can be a trick when you first start to play with this. It can be a trick to shift that, because you've got to basically tell your mind to shut up, right? The possibilities are endless. And as long as we are operating from our mind saying, this is how we do it, those other things can't show up, because we've decided that those things aren't possible. Are you following me here? Isn't that exciting? And I know that it can also be a little bit like, what in the hell is she talking about? So we're going to talk about sort of my evolution and how this all sort of came to be, how I shifted my mindset. And it started very, very simply. It started very, very simply. And I'm getting notified that it's time to go to break. I don't want to interrupt that story, so we're going to head to break just a few seconds early here. I am so excited to be with you today. I am Jackie Mott. We are on Inspired Choices Network, and you are with me for Time to Rise and Thrive. Today, we're talking about creating your life on purpose. And when we come back, I'm going to share some really concrete information that might help this process a little bit easier. So we'll be right back.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? This question came to Jackie Mott when she was trying to find peace and purpose in the wake of tragedy. She began to understand that a lot of her pain and choices had been the result of how she perceived herself and her place in the world. And she set about creating a new subliminal soundtrack that would support her in creating a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. To learn more about how she did that and how you can do the same, join Jackie on her radio show, Time to Rise and Thrive, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Time to Rise and Thrive show with mindset coach and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. For more information, visit phoenixcoach.ca, where you can follow Phoenix Coaching online. Now, back to the program.
Hello and welcome back to Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott, and I am so excited to be sharing this stuff with you today. Today's show is called Creating Your Life on Purpose, and we are talking about how to stop living by default based on the circumstances and decisions that you have made in your past. How can you shift that so that you can break free of those things and actually start to create that life that you actually do desire, right? So I'm gonna start this talking about there was a person that I met years and years and years ago. His name was John. It was before I got married. It was a long time ago. And John, man, he was somebody who changed something really big for me. And I don't even remember his last name, and I'm sure that I couldn't tell him, but I would just dearly love to tell him how he shifted something so very important for me. We were on the phone one night and we were talking about, I don't even know what we were talking about. And at that time, I was the single mom. I think my son would have been 5 or 6 years old at the time. Single mom, living on my own. And, life was hard. Life was hard. I had decided that life was hard, so life was hard. Got it? So I got this temporary job working through tax season at this place, and John was somebody who worked there. So we got to be friendly, and we started to talk outside of work. And we're on the phone one night talking about something, and he said to me, "Well, I can't even remember what it was, like maybe a dance or something like that." He was like, "Well, what would you like to wear? Like, what would you wear to something like that? If you were to go to some great big gala, what would your dress look like?" And I was like, What? What? First of all, I'm not going to the gala. And second of all, I couldn't afford to buy that dress anyway. So why even think about it? That was my response. John's response to me was, "When did you stop dreaming?" Oh, uh-huh. When did you stop dreaming? Hmm. See, I decided that because I had become a mother when I was 17 years old, that I had created these circumstances, and therefore ooh, all I deserved in my life, pardon me, was those circumstances. I had decided. So I wasn't open to the possibilities. I wasn't open to, here's this charming man who's talking to me about, the possibility of going to a gala, right? Are you following me here? It was my own decisions. It was my own ideas, my own mindset that kept me stuck in that place where, that relationship went nowhere. It went absolutely nowhere. Why? Because I didn't deserve that. Mhm. Right. Isn't that fun? Isn't that fun? But the interesting thing, so I can see myself as we're doing this show. And here's the deal. Back then, I would have had all kinds of judgments and ugly around what I just said because I mean, it's my fault. What do you mean it's my fault? And now I'm saying, yeah, it was my fault with a big smile on my face because I understand. I understand where I was. I understand where I am now. And that's the beautiful stuff that starts to shift. It's not about blame. It's not about fault. It's not about making yourself or anybody else wrong. It's about being honest about the circumstances, being honest about who's responsible for creating your life, and then taking action. It's not about, man, it's not about beating yourself up. And that was one of the things when we first ran the Creating Your Life on Purpose. That was one of the first things that we talked about. When this group of ladies would show up in my space, and we were doing them like actually in person at that point because we didn't have a pandemic or anything like that going on. And so I had groups of four. So I don't even know how many groups I ran. I'm going to say 5 or 6. There might have been more. Um, each group that would come in, that it was a set day, set time, and then we would work through stuff a week at a time. And I'm going to share a little bit about what created that program and what kinds of mindsets that I was using when I was creating it. But each week we would focus on a different subject matter, and then I would send them home. Like, we'd have this beautiful discussion. We had a meditation together. I'd do a guided meditation based on whatever we were talking about that week. And when we broke up for the week, or whatever that word is, you know what I'm talking about, I would send them home with, here's your home play for the week. These are the things that I want you to play with each day and see how it feels. See what changes. See what you create for yourself. Just play. Just be playful and see what happens. Open yourself up to the possibilities that something else could show up, right? And we had people, all areas of life, all different kinds of like ages and training and like careers and like all different kinds of people, all different, married, single, it all different, right? So we would be addressing different issues. Oh man, God, just thinking about doing this, just thinking about doing that course, it makes me so happy and so excited because it was just wonderful to be part of this thing. But as we were working through all of this stuff and I'm watching these shifting and changing things that are happening, it was so magical for me because these women were hungry for this. I'm going to tell you how this started. There's a lady named Sabina, and she was speaking at an event that I attended. I'm going to say like 8 years ago. It was a while ago. And she was speaking. Now, at that point, I was that serious businesswoman. I'm in accounting. There is no fun. There is no, it's work. It's work and serious because that is who I had decided that I was. Wasn't actually who I decided that I was. It was who I decided I needed to be successful in accounting. Isn't that interesting? Remember, this is what it means to be an accountant. Aha. Yeah. So, but clearly I am not at the core of myself or at my very essence. I am not that sort of straight lines person. I like to have fun. I love to laugh. I love to play with people and try new things and explore new possibilities and learn new stuff. And so I was really in that space. I was really, really confining myself and limiting myself, and it was locking me up. It was locking me up both spiritually and physically. There were pains in my body. It was really uncomfortable. So I go to this event, and this beautiful woman named Sabine, she stands up on the stage and she's talking about this thing, and I'd never heard of it before, and I had never even considered that there was a different way of thinking or being. And it was so amazing what happened. She's standing up on stage and she's talking about how did she put it? She was talking about rocks and dolphins. So basically the talk in a nutshell was, so you're surrounded by rocks, and in order to be a good rock, you need to be this, and this. and you've struggled your entire life to be this, this, and this. And because you're surrounded by rocks, you've decided that that makes you bad, right? You're not able to follow those guidelines. You're able to, but it hurts. It's hard to do. And, all of a sudden she said, so what if it's actually not that there's something wrong with you? What if you're just a dolphin and you're not a rock? What if it's as simple as that? And I promise you, something happened and something cracked open inside of me when she said that. Because my entire life, I had felt like I didn't fit. I had felt like I was wrong and I was bad. And because I couldn't do the things that everybody told me that I was supposed to do, it changed everything. That one moment, that one question. What if you're not a rock and you're a dolphin and that's why you can't fit in? Is that possible? Is that really possible that I'm just a different type of person and there's really nothing wrong with me? Is that possible? Oh my God. So over the next several years, that whole thing shifted for me. That whole thing, because I was able to perceive it. I was able to perceive myself from a space where I could learn to see my beauty and see my gifts and appreciate myself for who I am, as opposed to who I had always been told that I was supposed to be. And as I started, it's like shedding, it's like shackles breaking. It's like you're no longer required to bind yourself and hold back and live in this constriction. You're no longer required to do that, because really you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to do this. Oh my God. Oh my God. Whole different way of life opened up for me. And I'm going to tell you, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy to go through some of those transformations. It wasn't easy to change my thought processes and start to look at things from a different place. But when I was successful at it, it was so much easier. It was so much easier to be that person, the way that I was created, the way that I functioned, the who Jackie truly is, as opposed to who Jackie was supposed to be. So Christine asks me, what changed for you after that you noticed quickly? My joy. My joy just started to bubble up to the surface. My body felt different. I felt lighter. I felt more open. I felt more hopeful. I felt more excited about my life. My relationships with people shifted, because I was no longer coming at those relationships from the place of the Jackie who was tied up and bound and constricted. I was coming at them from, this is who I be, and I be love. Like, I be love. That is who I am. That is my essence. And it just changed everything, everything in my world. I was able to function in a different way. I was able to do my work in a different way. My business started to change. I started to do different things, started to explore different possibilities. And oh my God, who knew? Because I promise you, the Jackie that was in that accounting, that space, would not be here right now. That Jackie would not be able to talk to you like this, because that Jackie was scared, believe it or not. That Jackie was scared of speaking in public. And that Jackie didn't believe that she had anything of value to say. Wow. Right. So it takes time. It takes time. And sometimes you want to find somebody that can help you almost fast track that. Someone who's walked the walk, someone who has actually done the thing, because then you have a little bit of a guidebook. You don't necessarily make the same mistakes, or maybe you do, but then you also have a helping hand to help guide you through those, right? So that's where sometimes hiring a coach can be a really great idea, because that learning that they've already done then becomes the guidebook or the path that helps you to get through the learning more easily. And that's what happened for the ladies that joined me in the groups for creating your life on purpose. We talked about different possibilities. There was so much about being able to ask the questions instead of already deciding that this is the way it's going to be. What does it mean to be a wife? What does it mean to be a mother? What does it mean to be, right? And when we crack those open and look at them, when we crack them open and we look at them and see how fixed those ideas are, then we can start to go, wow. But if I didn't believe that was true, if I didn't have to do it that way, how could I do that? How could I do that? Maybe I could show up as a mom who is more playful and joyful and has that fun time with the kids instead of always being the right. Maybe I could show up as a more loving partner. Maybe I could perceive myself from being a sassy, sexy, sensual creature and come into my relationship with my partner that way. And how could that shift things? That could be a lot of fun. I'm just saying, when you can look at yourself through those eyes, when you can look at yourself and say, oh boy, what have you got to offer that person? Yeah. Now we're talking about being a contribution. What can I bring to that I wasn't able to bring inside that box? What can I bring to that? And you can apply it in any area of your life. It can be about your money. It can be about your body. It can be about your career and what type of work you do, your relationships, your like everything. When you start to get a real handle on this, you start to question. And when you do, when you ask the questions, who knows what answer might show up? Because remember, your mind is only capable of sharing with you the stuff that it already knows. Limitless possibilities out there. When you start to question, that's when other possibilities can start to show up. Ooh, this stuff is so yummy. It is so yummy and so juicy. Oh, okay. So when we come back, I'm going to actually talk to you about the program, how I developed it, all of that kind of stuff. I'm going to give you some very concrete tips on how you can start to work with these things. Yeah, I'm going to give you some really yummy, juicy stuff. So you are with me on Time to Rise and Thrive. I am Jackie Mott, your host, and we're on Inspired Choices Network today on Friday. Oh my God. We're talking about creating your life on purpose, breaking free of limitations, and actually starting to live from choice and possibility. And how much yummier does it get than that? All right. So we will be right back.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? This question came to Jackie Mott when she was trying to find peace and purpose in the wake of tragedy. She began to understand that a lot of her pain and choices had been the result of how she perceived herself and her place in the world. And she set about creating a new subliminal soundtrack that would support her in creating a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. To learn more about how she did that and how you can do the same, join Jackie on her radio show, Time to Rise and Thrive, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? Our subliminal soundtrack plays in the back of our minds 24/7. It's filled with everything we've ever learned about money, relationships, body, and sexuality, about every single aspect of our lives. If you don't have what you desire, the Subliminal Soundtrack Reset program may be the very key to changing it all. In this 8-week program, designed by Jackie Mott, you'll learn to replace messages that stop your desires with new ones that not only support you in creating what you truly desire, but expand your life to higher levels of joy and pleasure. Go to phoenixcoach.ca today to sign up and begin creating your life on purpose.
This is the Time to Rise and Thrive show with mindset coach and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott.
To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. For more information, visit phoenixcoach.ca, where you can follow Phoenix Coaching online. Now, back to the program.
Hello and welcome back to Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott. Today we are talking about creating your life on purpose. Oh my God, it's yummy. It is yummy. So I'm going to give you just a little bit of a heads up here on what's going on with business. If you enjoy the show and if you want to follow me, it would be a really great idea to find Phoenix Coaching London on Facebook and follow us or like us, all that, whatever that stuff is. I am working with a marketing expert right now, and we are making some really big shifts in the business. One of them is likely the name of the business is going to change. So if you find us and follow us now, then you're not going to have any trouble finding us later. So that might be a good idea. So one of the things that we are going to be doing, I have been doing something called Mindful Moments videos for quite a long time. And it's gotten a little bit tricky to fit that into my schedule. So we've decided to shift that up a little bit. Starting on December 10th at 7 p.m. every evening, I am going to do something. We're going to the Facebook live thing. Oh my God, right? So we're going to do a live thing on Facebook every evening at 7 p.m. all the way through the holidays. I will be with you Christmas. I will be with you New Year's. We're going to talk about all kinds of different stuff, some of it relating to the holidays and getting through some of those things that might be tough. And also just about the stuff that we're talking about today. How can we shift our perspective? How can we shift our thinking to open ourselves up to new possibilities, right? Anyway, so that one's going to be free. We're calling it 30-Day Mindset Challenge, and that will start on December 10th, which is next Thursday. Monthly Mindset Masterclass is something I'm also very excited about. So that's going to be a monthly Zoom call on Monday evenings, first Monday evening of every month. Starting on January 4th, we're going to have a specific subject for that month. The first 2 months, I'm going to offer free of charge. After that, there will be a membership that needs to be that you need to have in order to continue and participate in the calls. But they're going to be very interactive. It's going to be very similar to what I do in the group coaching. Yeah, so we're going to talk about all kinds of mindset stuff and help people go into 2021 and make it the best year ever, right? Oh my God, I'm so excited. I can't even tell you how excited I am to start this new year, brand new, fresh slate. Oh, I'm so excited. All right, so now we're going to get back to the show, Creating Your Life on Purpose, and we're going to be talking about how to stop living by default and at the mercy of your circumstances. Start to take charge and actually create your life. So there are a couple of things when I first was thinking about this program, like very first started thinking about it. I learned in school long time ago, I learned about something called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So I think the guy's name is Abraham Maslow. It's like eons old. And I'm going to show you. So I hope that you can see that. So it's a excuse me, the bottom tier is called physiological needs. So that's talking about like food and shelter and having proper money flows, different things like that. The second level is safety. So personal security, employment, resources, health, property. The third tier is love and belonging. So we're talking about friendships, intimacy, family, sense of connection with people, relationship stuff. The next level is esteem. So respect, self-esteem, status, recognition, strength, and freedom. And the top level is called self-actualization. So it's that desire to become more, that sort of like spiritual place where you can see yourself and appreciate yourself. You know who you are, you know what you bring to the table, and you can start to create that life. So the really interesting thing when I thought about this Maslow's hierarchy of needs is that they said to us that you have to have, it's like the building blocks, right? So the building blocks, I have to have a solid foundation before I can put the next block on, before I can put the next block on. Every one of those needs to be solid. It needs to be situated. And that feels it feels a little bit too restrictive to me, but that was something that I was thinking about when I first started to develop this program. So if I don't have enough food to eat, if I don't have reasonably decent health, I am never going to be able to move up the ladder. Do you see what I'm saying? Because we focus on the thing that we need the most in the moment. So if I don't have a place to live, I'm probably not thinking about going on a trip to Maui. My main concern is going to be securing that place to live and having my physical needs met. Okay. And as we achieve those things, as we develop more of those things, then we can go up, 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 and get to that point where we're actually like being who we were born to be. How yummy is that? So, I found that quite interesting, but I also found it kind of challenging because, what happens if somebody loses a job? Like maybe you're way up here and there's a job loss or somebody dies or something happens that is completely outside of your control. Hello, pandemic, right? So does that mean that we actually lose what we've learned to get to that place? Because that's the part that I found challenging. So if I've already done all that learning, then I have to drop back down and learn all over again. And that felt really uncomfortable. But there's also this thing called the chakras. And if you're at all into like energy work or anything like that, you very likely know about the chakras. So they're sort of the energy centers of our bodies and also our beings. Okay. So that is what I found for you this morning. And very interesting because some of these things are really very closely related to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The root chakra is way down at the bottom, and that is all about having your needs met. Hello, having your needs met. The sacral chakra talks about creativity, talks about that juicy flow, right? The solar plexus is about like your power. That's your power place. It's sort of right in the middle of your gut, and that's your power place. And your heart, it talks about love, it talks about relationship, it talks about, you know all of that kind of stuff. And then we've got the throat chakra, which is about speaking your truth. We've got the third eye, which is about sort of that dreaming and being able to be, oh, what is that word, like the intuition and all of that kind of stuff. And then when we get to the crown, that's where like it just opens everything up. It just opens everything up. Christine says awareness. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, what I did was in my mind, I sort of mashed those two things together because to me, they are very similar. And I'm sure that there are people out there that would argue that until they're blue in the face. But to me, they are very, very similar. You incorporate the learning, you move forward. And the thing of it is you don't have to lose everything. You don't have to lose everything if something comes along and knocks you off. I mean, you can, I suppose you can. Anyway, we're not gonna go too far into that. We're not gonna go too far into that. But what ended up happening was that these things sort of mashed up in my mind, and I found that flow. I found that creative flow where the ideas just seem to come. And oh my God, if you have ever been, I don't know, like if you're artistic, if you're into sports, you find that space where it's just like easy. It flows. You don't have to work at it. You don't have to try. It flows through you. That was the space that showed up. That was the space that showed up. So, what I did was I created this 8-week program. So, in the first week, we talk about the root chakra. We do a root chakra meditation that week. Um, we talk about things related to that. So self-care, body and sexuality. Remember? Sassy little sway to the hips, sensuality, all that yummy stuff. Right. Because when you can show up in that space, oh my God, I promise you things change. You walk into a room when you got that sassy little sway to your hips and you're feeling that, oh, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. You walk into a room like that, everybody notices. Everybody notices. It does not matter what shape your body is. It has nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with that. What it has to do with is the energy that you're carrying and that confidence and that, oh, that yummy, right? That's what people notice. That's what people notice. So, first week is about that stuff, money mindset, all of that kind of stuff. Second week is about joy and playfulness, right? Let's crack it open. Let's have some fun. Let's have some freaking fun. What do you think? Like, I am so in. Anybody calls me and they're like, let's go. I'm like, oh, yeah, let's go have some fun. Solar plexus was about fulfillment, the heart chakra. So, again, week 3, week 4, week 4, we're talking about actually being able to love and appreciate yourself. Oh, would that change anything for people, do you think? Hmm. Hmm. Then we're talking about honoring yourself, being able to speak your truth, honoring yourself and others, being respectful. I'm sorry. Christine goes, you walk in like what? You walk in like that. The hips are shaking. Ooh, baby. People notice. I promise you, they notice. So when we get to the third eye, it's about, dreaming and what that guy John was talking about. What kind of dress would you wear? What kind of possibilities are available to me? What could happen if I would just allow myself to open up? What could happen? Oh, what could happen? Then we get to the crown chakra, and we're talking about belief in yourself, worthiness, and value. What can you create? What would change in your world if you could actually start to adopt an idea that you are stronger, more capable, more magical, and more potent than you ever believed was possible? If you could start to operate from that energy, what could change? Because you see, right? Like it's not hard to see, I don't think, the difference between that I am the accountant and it's serious, and that, like, oh boy, what could change for you if you could adopt something? And maybe it's not that, oh boy, maybe it's something completely different for you, and that's okay, because that's what we're talking about. It doesn't have to be the same for every person. And when we try to put ourselves in the box that's the same as everybody else because it's what we're supposed to be, when we try to put ourselves in that box, that's when everything goes wrong. That's when we get locked up and constricted and feeling like we're so bad. We're so bad because we can't be like that person. Yeah. Who wants to live like that? All right, we're going to go to our last break. You are with me on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott. Today, we are talking about creating your life on purpose. And when we come back from our last break, I'm going to share with you a few more things that you can just kind of ponder and think about that might help to shift some of this stuff for you. Man, I just can't wait. I can't wait to, yeah, this is good. All right, we'll see you in just a moment.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? This question came to Jackie Mott when she was trying to find peace and purpose in the wake of tragedy. She began to understand that a lot of her pain and choices had been the result of how she perceived herself and her place in the world. And she set about creating a new subliminal soundtrack that would support her in creating a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. To learn more about how she did that and how you can do the same, join Jackie on her radio show, Time to Rise and Thrive, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? Our subliminal soundtrack plays in the back of our minds 24/7. It's filled with everything we've ever learned about money, relationships, body, and sexuality, about every single aspect of our lives. If you don't have what you desire, the Subliminal Soundtrack Reset program may be the very key to changing it all. In this 8-week program, designed by Jackie Mott, you'll learn to replace messages that stop your desires with new ones that not only support you in creating what you truly desire, but expand your life to higher levels of joy and pleasure. Go to phoenixcoach.ca today to sign up and begin creating your life on purpose.
This is the Time to Rise and Thrive show with mindset coach and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. For more information, visit phoenixcoach.ca, where you can follow Phoenix Coaching online. Now, back to the program.
Hello and welcome back to Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott. Today we've been talking about creating your life on purpose, how you can shift from that space where you have to live a certain way because of the circumstances, into the place of like, what else is possible here? What could I create? What could I create? So that question that I asked you just before the break, and I want to repeat it now because I'm going to ask you to just play with the energy of this. Just this week, play with the energy of this, okay? What could change in your life if you could consider the possibility that you are stronger, more magical, more potent than you ever believed was possible? Stronger, more magical, more potent. Ooh. Play with that this week, will you? Play with that. And if you play with that and you want to share your experience, please get in touch with me on the Facebook page. Please get in touch with me and let me know, or watch the video and create whatever. Just send me something. Send me something because I would love to hear about your experience playing with that energy. So here's the deal, guys. This subliminal soundtrack that we talk about all the time, it is so very, very important to get clear. It is so important to get clear because when we are operating sort of on autopilot, when we're operating on autopilot, we are letting those messages just sort of rule the roost and create this life for us. We're going to find it really difficult to create different circumstances because the life that we're creating is based on the belief systems that we're carrying. Okay. It really makes a lot of sense. It really makes a lot of sense when you actually start to understand this stuff. So, one of the things that I was thinking about was that, this cracking open piece. If you look at an oak tree, we all know what those little teeny tiny acorns, right? If you look at an oak tree, isn't it a little bit difficult to perceive that little oak tree started, or that big, like giant, huge, strong tree started from just a little nut. And in order for that to happen, what happened? That nut found the proper circumstances. It found the right soil in the right place with the right hydration and whatever else was involved. Who knows? I don't know. But it found the right circumstances. It created the right environment for itself to crack open. So when we get to this place where we're starting to do that, it can be painful. It can be hard. It is challenging because in order to become that oak tree, that acorn had to be destroyed. Do you understand what I'm saying? So sometimes we have to destroy the former belief system that helped us create the life that we didn't want so that we can start to create a different possibility for ourselves. Got to challenge that stuff. It's not easy to do. It's not easy to do. I mean, I help people with this all the time. So if you're somebody who would like to reach out to me, find me on Facebook. I think all of my other contact information is here. I also do a free discovery call with people that would like to talk about these things. Yeah, and then we can have a conversation and see, then we can see what will work well for you. So that brings us right to the end of the show here. I wrote something this morning when I was thinking about this whole idea of this show, and it's the quote that I'm going to leave you with today. It says, when we practice radical personal responsibility, we own the decisions we've made and their consequences, both good and bad. We also understand that we have the choice to remain in the circumstances those decisions created or to create something different. Perspective is everything. You always have a choice. You can choose to look at what's happened as a life sentence or as a lesson that you can incorporate into your life as you move forward. It's your choice. What do you choose? Yeah. Yeah. All right. So happy Friday. Happy Friday. Yeah, this is Jackie Mott of Phoenix Coaching here in London, Ontario. We're going to be back on Time to Rise and Thrive next week. Every Friday, actually, 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central, 11 Mountain Time and 10 Pacific. Next week's show is called Becoming a Reformed Rescuer. We are going to be talking about why we feel the need to don our capes and tights and swoop in to rescue people, and how to let that go so we can use those emotional resources in our own lives. Ooh, yum, yum, yum. So thank you so very, very much for being with me today. I really enjoy this show, and today's has been so exciting for me for so many different reasons. I so appreciate your time. I hope that you've learned something today that will help you shift your perspective. Have a great week.
Thank you for joining us for Time to Rise and Thrive radio show. Jackie Mott will return next Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Have a fantastic week, and remember, it's your time to rise and thrive.